Hi everyone, it's Martin from martinsmayhem.co.uk. I hope you're all well. Today we're going to be creating this card that you see here. It's using some of the new products from Crafty Meraki. This is part of their birthday celebration or anniversary celebrations. They've turned 4, so they have released some amazing dies. Which I'm just going to demonstrate this one, which I believe is called the Flora Lilly layering die, and I have to say this is my favourite die that I've been sent. Absolutely love it, and I'm pairing it with one of their background stamps, which is the speckled canopy, which you see there, and you can see I've already used it and I haven't cleaned out the die because I was a bit lazy, but hey. So we are going to be using those today to create this card. So I'm just going to move this out of the way into the top corner. Now there is a lot to do, so I'm not going to mess around. I'm going to bring in my card for my card base. So what I've established is, so obviously we have UK card, or I have UK card. So that's slightly taller and skinnier than US A4. However, you can make the same card or the same dimension card using your card. You would just have to do a side folding card as opposed to a upright card. So if I give you the overall dimensions once it's folded, you can do the math. It will be in centimeters because inches fry my brain. Oh, like, why do we use a percentage, a fraction, as part of a measurement? Fries my brain. But anyway, so this measures 10.5 centimeters by 14.8, and that gives a UK C6 card. Okay, I'm going to cut. Oh, am I going to cut a matte layer? I'm not going to cut the matte layer just yet. What I'm going to do is actually, let's cut this. I'm trying to remember what I did. I can't remember. So I've got the other half, and I'm going to cut this in half. So again, at that 14.8. So it's 10.5 by 14.8 on both bits. Now, I've done it slightly bigger than what I'm going to cut it down to, but that's just going to give me some wiggle room in order to cut it down. But this is going to be our matte layer, and you are going to need 2 pieces, and that is just so that I could hide the dimension, the foam adhesive behind. Okay, so let's move that out the way. Let's cut our matte layer now while we've got it. So I'm bringing in that speckled canopy die. And I mean, you should really clean out your dies, but clearly I'm being lazy. I'm going to bring in my die cutting machine. So these work perfectly with any die cutting machine, so you just need to experiment to find out what works best for your machine. But I found I can just run these through. Now what I like is these are paradise, so you can use them with your hot foil plates, but I don't have a hot foil machine, so you're stuck with just seeing it used as a background die, but hopefully you still see how beautiful it is. So let's just run this through and get that out of the way. So just gonna pull this out like so. Now, I wish I had the thing ready, but I don't. So I'm just gonna quickly poke these out. If I was smart, I would have done one ahead of time, but clearly my brain cells aren't working. Still quite early here in the UK, at the point of recording. I've been up since 5:30. I've had 3 coffees just to try to get me going. And I have just prodded my finger. And also if I was smart, because I know I am doing multiple layering of this die, I would probably have been smart and put some sticky sheeting on the back so I can just stick it onto the other layer. But hey ho, hindsight is a marvellous thing, and I'm really sorry that this is going to be really boring to watch. And this is why having clean dies help, because it won't necessarily, well, it will help prevent them from sticking in as much as it has. Ow. Da-da-dum. Okay, keep going, keep going, keep going. You know what, you guys, it has been really warm here in the UK, which is a nice change, but it's literally gone from absolutely pouring with rain to then bright sunshine and really warm weathers, which has been nice, but now it's due to rain again from tomorrow, which I'm not so happy about. But what can be done, hey? We just have to work with what we've got. So I'm looking at my desk underneath on my craft mat, and I'm getting anxiety with the mess I'm gonna have to tidy up. I know someone advised me of a trick once of how to easily get bits out, and it's not using one of those rolly majiggies, because I'm not a fan of those personally, but hey. So let's just quickly try and tidy up the best I can. So there we have our matte layer, and we're going to stick that on to the other piece that we had. So that gives us, or what that does for me is it maintains the look of this kind of matte layer with the dimension behind it while hiding any adhesive on the back. So I did get some liquid glue and I've left it all the way over here. So let me grab that. And I'm just going to pop some liquid glue on the back. Now there is sufficient room between the decals in order for you to add adhesive. So in these large gaps you could add adhesive if you wanted to, but I don't know, it's just me. I like to make sure it's worked. I'm not too bothered about the edges because I'm going to be cutting it down in order to fit better onto my base. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my trimmer, and this is just going to allow me to butt it up against it in the corner and along the edge and pop it on there flat. And I'll grab my bone folder and just burnish that down without impacting that. So we know this isn't the right size. We have lost a little bit. You can be a lot more precise if you wanted to, but for me this was just easier. Now I do need to cut this down, but I'm going to let that dry back a little bit, and we're going to do some more die cutting. So I've already done a lot of the die cutting ahead of time, but still wanted to show you guys how lovely these dies cut. So I'm grabbing that Big Lily. Now I'm hoping this fits on this piece. Nope. Great start. Just grab this piece out. So I'm just gonna put that on there like so. And what I like is to create one flower, it is on one die. Okay, so all the elements for this one flower are on the one die. So it's really nice and easy to kind of navigate through. I'm just going to run that through, and I'm just going to run it back through on itself, just so I don't get any bruising on the card from where the plates are overlapping. You don't need to run it through twice, you only need to run it through the once. And I'm just going to push that to one side. So the cardstock I'm using is from Stampin Up. So I'm using Cajun Craze for the background. This is Calypso Coral. And you're just going to need the flower bits. You don't need the stamen, because the stamen's going to be cut out of some mirror card that I've got. Don't ask me the name of it, because I don't know, but we're going to use it because it's pretty. I'm actually going to use a lot of it. I do need to cut the stamen though, so let's do that now. So I have got a scrap bit there, but I think that's going to be big enough for us to actually, let's cut down the background. So you can see here, I use the mirror board to create 3 little panels, which create the backdrop to our flowers. Now these are 1 inch wide, and then the middle one's 4 inches, the 2 side ones are 3 inches. So this should be 2 inches long. And the reason why I'm using inches for this bit is because I cut all my mirror board. So my mirror board tends to be 12 by 12. So then I can cut that down to 6 by 6 for storage. So this I can just cut in half. So there's our 2 3 inch by 1 inches. And then we need a 4 inch piece here. Like so. And that's just going to give us a little bit of scrap, which we can use to die cut our stamen out of. Now we've got a lot of ink blending to do as well. I thought that this really added to the card. And actually, interestingly, I made a similar card to this with over on Instagram to my subscribers. So you can subscribe to my Instagram channel for a live video each week. So I go live every Sunday at 12 p.m. or 12 noon here in the UK. So I'm just going to pop that stamen out like so, and there's that. So I made a similar card to this, but I have mixed it up a little bit in relation to the colour of the background. I mean, I don't even have it to hand. Just because that card was very much a discovery of what to do and what not to do. So I have learned when I then made this card. So we have our stamen, we have our big flower. In the dies, if I just bring them back in, you have a smaller flower that is kind of opening up and some leaves. You're going to need 1 of the smaller flowers as well. And you're going to need to run through the stem of that flower into a blue card, just so then you have that so it matches. And then you need to run the leaf die through twice in order to get 6 leaves. Now this is done out of boho blue cardstock from Stampin Up. And I thought it was just a nice difference to opposed to using the green. Now we need to do some ink blending. So I should have this. So this is my Waffle Flower grip mat, which I think is a fantastic tool. That's stuck on it. So I'm going to stick this down, and this is just going to help me ink blend our elements. So with this larger flower, this die cut here is the actual backdrop, so you don't have to do anything, and that's just going to give you the kind of base in order to work off. But you are going to have these 3 elements for the large flower in which you want to be die cutting, ink blended on. I'm just going to take it off, and I'm going to tackle one at a time. Now, I'm going to say I went a little bit heavy on the ink blending on this card. I'm just going to grab some scrap paper, just so I have somewhere just to dab my thing off. So I'm grabbing Calypso Coral ink because that coordinates. Just going to rub it off and then go in. So what this is going to do is it's going to help me create like a 3-tone effect. So the centerpiece here is going to be the colour of the cardstock, and then the edges and the center are going to have the deeper intense colour. Just so we create this kind of 3D illusion of the petals that are curved, because we've got darkness and light, and the light center is what's in the middle. So I'm not going to put that away just yet. I mean, I could be smart and actually do all of the Calypso Coral first, and then go in with the Cajun Craze. So again, just adding that to the center like so. Just going to dab it off, and then on the tips. But I went really dark with the first example, so do be careful. I'm just gonna put that in. I'm just gonna flip that round and go along that edge like so, and then just very gently onto that little tip. I mean, just the smallest amount makes all of the difference. I'm going to grab in these pieces here for the smaller flower and do the same. He says it's now not sticking just quite as much, like so. I'm just going to bring that, turn it round and do this edge a little bit. Now I didn't dab off them, so that's a bit heavy on the colour, but hopefully we can draw it back when we add the Cajun. So then these ones as well, these bits are the top pieces, so I'm just going to go in heavy at the bottom. It says it's moving. And just add a little bit at the top. And now, because we know that there are going to be things stacked on top of these, you are just going to want to do it a little bit darker at the bottom, just so then we can be assured that we're picking up those lights. So that's Calypso done. Let's get rid of that. Let's bring in Cajun. And same again, you're going to go over the exact same areas that we have just done, but with the darker colour. Just to really intensify that shape, but you're not going to go as far out or as far in, because you want to keep that stream of the light shade on the edge. So if I just lift this up, so this is the card we started with, like so, and that's what we're ended up with. It's completely changed and it's given it a lot more depth of colour, which I really like. Just bring this one in. and do the same. And then just gonna do that, bring that in to that tip. And I mean, it's just small little details that add a lot of dimension. Now this little one, again, the exact same thing, just add in it here. Now I'm happy for this to be a lot darker at this point, or along this edge, and that's because we know that it's representing a curved edge. I'm just going to add a little bit on the tip. This is when a more detailed brush would be really helpful. But hey, I didn't have one in the colours. And then just bring that in along the bottom. And then we've got the leaves to do still as well. So please feel free to jump ahead if you're bored of the ink blending. Absolutely fine, but equally, I hope you stick around. There's that. Bring these two bits in. Oh, he says. Like so. Now I've probably been a little bit overcautious with the inking on this one, but it's because I went really dark on that one. Now for the, just gonna flip that round. For the leaves, I'm just gonna go straight in with my darker shade. I'm not gonna bother doing the middle one. The reason for that is I just didn't see much of a difference, because the colours I'm using are very, very similar anyway. So I'm just going to lie these down like so. Excuse me, got a frog in my throat. I'm just going to add that one in here. I don't know how that's going to work, but hey, just going to pop that down. Now, in fact, I'm just going to angle it slightly so it's better suited for me. So this is boho blue cardstock, so I'm going to bring in a Misty Moonlight, and ironically I have a more detailed brush. And again, I'm just going to stamp that, rub it off first, and then go in with that colour, fading it out and up. And then we'll flip it round and we'll do the other side. So again, to create that concept of these leaves are turning, I'm just going to add some depth to the other tips. It says lifting it up. For some reason, these don't stick as well as the other dies. I'm not quite sure why. I'm just going to go in and just add a little bit to the tops. Like so. And that's them done. I have now got very inky fingers. But hey, that's all our ink blending done. Let's now assemble the flowers together. Put that to one side, get that out of the way. And we will get going. So, where's my liquid glue? It's here. I'm just gonna start with the bigger flower. Now you could put these on dimensionals if you want. However, my card is quite high already, or on foam adhesive, I should say. But my card is quite tall already, so I don't want to be adding too much dimension at this stage because it's going to be done with all the layering. But you can just add some liquid glue like such onto the back. A little goes a long way, he says. I'm never a fan of liquid glue. And yet that's all I seem to use these days, which is interesting. So I'm gonna just pop that on, like so. Now before you do this leaf, you need to do the stamen. So I'm just gonna quickly go on there. And again, if you're smart, you can use any adhesive sheets you might have to save time. With this, I'm going to bring that in like so. Oh dear. Put that. One like so. A trick I found out with this is where this happens is just grab a clear block and press it on. And that just weighs it down ever so slightly. I'm going to allow it to sit. And then finally this leaf. It's probably far too much adhesive, but hey. You can just line it up with that bottom plate. Like so. I think if any layer was to be on a foam tape, it would be that last little bit here. However, you can see I've done it and you don't need it. It's absolutely fine. But it gives us so much depth through that ink blender. Now onto this bit here, I'm just going to grab this leaf, which looks a bit like a elongated heart. I'm just going to grab that. Not do that, Martin. Gross. I now have very sticky fingers. Just going to pop that down, and you can see it just lines up perfectly with the shape that's already there. So the guesswork is all gone. Ew, stick fingers, I don't like it. And then this piece, like so. And this bit just lines up again on the edge here, and it overlaps like so, just to give us the look of it opening up. Then I'm going to just take my stamen piece. I said stamen, it's not a stamen, it's the stem. Just going to gently move that glue up. Like so. And I'm going to be ready with my block. And that's just going to sit on there like so. Just gonna pop that on while that dries. So that's our flowers assembled. It's very much now we need to assemble the card, and then this is going to go on over the top. So that's that. Beautiful. Let's grab our matte layer. Now I've been doing my matte layers slightly smaller. So I've been doing them at 8.9 centimeters. Now I'm trying to work out where that falls on this. So I'm gonna cut there. So I've done that slightly bigger still, and I think I probably could have trimmed a little more off, but now I'm cautious about trimming off like slivers. So we're just gonna have to turn this round and go here. I mean, okay. It might just be slightly off center. It is, as you can see, we've got this edge now, which is very tight as opposed to this edge, which has a little gap. But hey ho, this now needs to go down, so I need to do the maths. It's 6 mil shorter, so it needs to go to 13.3, no, 13.2, 1, 2, that takes off quite a lot at the bottom, so I'm just gonna pop that up a little bit. I'm just grabbing off that edge, and then I can go to the 13.2 and take off that bit. And the reason for that is so I get this seamless edge that I haven't got like a full stop anywhere. Now that bit there's come off. It hasn't, it's just not adhered well. So I might just have to mess around with that bit. Let's grab some liquid glue. Just gonna do a little dot there. A little bit of card surgery. Just going to use a piece of the scrap just to rub a bit off, like so. So there's that anyway. So we've got our matte layer now cut down. We have our 3 mirror pieces. I'm gonna grab some dimensional or foam adhesive. So I'm gonna start with the middle piece, and I'm gonna do about 2 foam tabs high. Like such. I'm going to pop one in the middle as well. And what this is going to do is it's just going to allow me to line everything else up. You want to make sure it's straight, and you want to make sure it's in the middle, he says. I mean, that looks straight for me, or as straight as I can probably get it. Then these 2 elements are going to go either side, just slightly poking underneath, and that's just to create this kind of effect of creating this kind of I don't know the word to describe it, but it's, I don't know how to describe it. I just did it at this weird position. I don't really like how it looked. So as simple as that. So now that's in, that middle piece looks completely wonky. But hey, we're going to cover it primarily. I'm going to grab some linen thread, and all I'm going to do is make a nice big bow, and that's just going to sit behind our flower. And all that's going to do is just add a little bit of added interest, basically, to the background. As I'm sure you can appreciate, there's going to be a lot going on in the foreground, especially with the colours. So why not just add a nice big bow in the background to help fill the space. Now, I haven't got any scissors. I have. Just going to cut that down. It is much bigger than I need, but at least it's good and ready to go. Now, everything focuses around this flower. So I'm just going to roughly pop that there. And then this is going to go behind it. So you can see just how big it is. We really don't need it to be that big. We need it to be more about that size in relation to the flower. So let's just lay that out a little bit better. Bring this one in. And so you can see it's really now not even. Okay, that's looking better. I'm going to give it a little taut pull. And there we go. So I can pop that in there. I'm just going to flip it around so it's that way. And we can mess around with the bow a little bit in a second, but I'm just going to pop a little bit of the liquid adhesive down, like so. Now it's on that mirror board, so it's not going to do much now because it's going to be sliding around a lot, but it will just hold it while we position our flower. Now I'm just going to pop one dimensional in the middle. Am I doing it in the middle? I don't think I am. I think I'm doing it here and one at the bottom here. Take that off, and then I'm not going to do it straight on. I am going to angle it slightly, just for a little bit of added interest, like so. And then everything else now goes around that piece. So we can bring in our budding lily. And I'm just going to add some liquid adhesive on the back. Like so. Now I know what you're probably all thinking, this is very autumnal colours, and it is, but I really wanted to do a different colour scheme to what potentially you might see with these lilies, and I thought the blue really complemented the background. So then it's just about going in, finding a leaf, adding some glue, and just popping that into a place that you're happy with it. Now, forewarning, be careful. These are going to move around because you're gluing onto mirror board. But hopefully you won't need to worry too much in relation to that. So I have been a lot more conservative with the shading, which I think I'm okay with. Maybe not so much on the blue. I think I could have gone a little bit darker on the blue, but we live and we learn. Just gonna pop that one down here, like so. We're just building up this scene of this is the lily kind of just being in the wild, enjoying its life. Definitely could have went heavier on the ink blending for the blue, but hey ho. I'll add that in. I'm just going to go a little bit higher on this one. This one's going to go in up here. And then last but not least, this one, just going to add poking out on the left hand side. And lift up the bow ever so slightly. And there you have it. Now the bow is a bit all over the place. So what I like to do, where I can't control it so much, just add little specks of glue to it. And I mean, I'm not adding anything, I'm literally just wiping a little bit of the excess on and popping that down. But you have to be careful because you don't want to do a lot because you do mirror board. And the last thing you want is it to look skew with. Okay, that's sitting now, that's not nice. Just going to cut off the excess here. And the excess here so they're more even. Now for my favourite bit, which is an ink splatter. You know me, I love an ink splatter, but I'm going to move everything that doesn't want an ink splatter out of the way. So I use Winsor Newton ink. This is a drawing ink. I assume Winsor Newton is a UK brand, but you can get it on Amazon. Basically everywhere. It's great. And I use gold, silver and black of this ink as well as the white. It is just a great ink for splatters. It's very pigmented. However, you do have to be careful because if you ink blended, it can absorb that colour a little bit. Now I'm just going to wipe it off and I'm just going to tap it like so all over this matte layer. Now I do want a couple of bigger, there we go, splatters. Now to get bigger splatters, it is just a matter of adding more ink to your paintbrush, like so, and that can be gently lifted up. And that just needs to dry now. Now have I got a piece of tissue? I haven't got a piece of tissue. Let's just give it a wipe. Look how dirty this board has become from this one card. So we're going to stamp our sentiment. Now I stamped the sentiment. Well, the sentiment is from another stamp set from Crafty Meraki. I'm just going to grab, not big enough, some craft cardstock. So this is Crumb cake. I'm going to heat emboss in white. I mean, this was a card base which I cut to the wrong size. So I'm just going to rub over an anti-static pad. I'm going to bring in the sentiment. Now the sentiment says happy birthday and it's from the Hello stamp set, which has these beautiful coordinating dies. And the stamp set, it says, you can see there, it has miss you, sunshine, just a note, that massive hello, which is beautiful. Happy friend, love you, happy birthday, I'm thinking of you. Now, this card could have really any of those sentiments, but I don't have very many birthday cards. Don't make them very often. So I thought, you know what, let's make a happy birthday card. So I've just stamped that in Versamark. I'm going to grab my white embossing powder, which is white gold. Pop that in there. And now I'm going to heat set it. Now, I'm grabbing a heat tool. Just going to let that heat up a little bit before bringing it onto my cardstock. Like so. And then, I've put everything on top of everything. It's a nightmare. One cannot clean as they go. I'm just going to bring in my trimmer. And what I'm going to do is the edge of the running blade, I'm just going to line it up with the bottom of the sentiment. So then it's straight to the sentiment as opposed to straight to the card. And then I'm going to repeat the same with the top, like so. And there you have a nice straight sentiment. Then you can just cut that down with the edges. Equally, you could do that with your trimmer if you wanted to make sure that's straight. And now that's going to be put on, I can't remember, it's on dimensionals over the top of our flower. So hopefully this has dried a little bit. It's a little bit wet where it's on the mirror board, so I do have to be careful. This does dry quite quickly, ironically, not when I'm doing a video. But when you're making a normal card, it is quite quick to dry. So I'm just going to pop that over like so. So it is floating at this end, but I'm okay with that. It's not going to get damaged and it has enough support behind it. So there is that. Now we're going to add some little pearls. So I'm just going to grab, it says a big pearl. I'm going to try and pop it here. And a medium pearl. And what I'm doing is I'm staggering. Oh, I've just got an inky finger, so I need to be more careful. I'm staggering them up so that it's drawing the receiver's eye into the centre. So I'm just going to grab another big one here, pop that down here. And then a teeny tiny one here and down here. So that again is in the angle. So we've got a lot of detail going this way. We're now bringing it in that way. So then we've got dual focus into that centre. I'm going to grab my foam adhesive that I use for my card base. Now this is from a teaser, or it was. They've discontinued it, unfortunately, and this is my last roll. So I'm very upset about that. But I have brought some alt new foam tape to work on the background. And I think it's just as good. So I'm just going to pop that like so. I am being quite delicate because I don't want to disrupt the background too much. I'm going to pop that like so. Now what I have found is my cards, as they're left over time, droop a little in the middle, especially as all the detail is in the middle of the card, especially on this card. So I'm just going to add a piece to the middle. I'm going to take off all of the backgrounds and literally shove it to the side. Now, I hope you're all still with me. If you are still with me, could you leave me a, I don't know, is there a lily emoji? Or just leave me a flower emoji. If you've got this far in the video, comment a little flower emoji, just so I know you've got basically to the end. He says if he can ever get this bit off. Why can't I get that bit off? There you go. And it's just nice to know that people are watching still and actually care. Oh, that sounds really depressing. I'm not depressed. But it's just nice to know you're still with me. So I'm just going to pop that on like so. I line up 2 corners. So 1, 2, drop down to the 3rd and like so. And then that can just be gently press into place. And there you have today's project. So I'm just going to zoom in so you can get a closer look. Bloody hell, this video is long. But I'm glad I hope you enjoyed it, because it's a really pretty card and it's such beautiful products. I will link to all the products in the description. Also a link to my website where products are, the product links are also available, so you can go check these out. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'll see you later. Bye.